Thomas.
Can't find anyone. Now throws and it's got the Watson. And he runs it for the touchdown. Here's a run by Derek Holmes. Trying to get outside. He's in for the touchdown. What a great run. He throws. Touchdown by Thurman Thomas. Goes back to throw. Lets it fly. And it's intercepted in there by David White.
Not on my chili dog, no.
We're all beaming with smiles here. That was early 90s Bills Dolphins, and we're going right there because it's our Saturday night matchup in prime time. Time for another round of We In or We Out. Here's how it'll work. I'll tee up a statement, and my co-host will tell me whether they agree or disagree, and everyone at home can play along too. All right. So for years, in the early 90s, the Bills had the edge over the Dolphins in these cold weather games up in Buffalo. Dolphins would go up there with Marino, and then the Bills would end up winning those games with, of course, Bruce Smith, Darryl Talley, Cornelius Bennett, and the bunch. During Sunday Night Football, NBC revealed that the Dolphins had heaters on the sideline in Los Angeles. Mike McDaniel was asked about the weather for the game in Buffalo on Saturday would have something to do with this game, and here's what he had to say.
The course of the game can be influenced, but you still have to play in the same temperature and climate, or as the opposing team, just one's more used to it than the other. So, I think that's something that you have to be real and upfront that hey, it's going to be cold, but it's also something that no one cares. The box score doesn't read asterisks, it was cold.
Love that guy. Lake effect is in effect, is what they say. I don't know what that means. Lake effect. They're saying it's going to be 15 to 20 degrees and potentially up to 5 inches of snow. McDaniel doesn't think it's a big deal, but not everyone is convinced. So here's the statement. The 2022 Dolphins are not built to win in Buffalo in December. Jason, that's a question. Are we in or we out?
I'm out. And this is my issue with this. It was reported that the Dolphins had heaters on their sidelines in California. The Chargers had heaters on their sideline too. Why are we not talking about both teams had heaters, but we're singling out Miami and saying they need the heaters? When it's cold outside, yes, put heaters on my sideline. I don't care what you need. For years, I was like, I'm wearing no sleeves out here. Doesn't matter the weather. I'm mentally tough. I was freezing. By the time I got to knowing I had 3 different thermals on, the hand pads, give me my jacket as soon as I get to the sideline. Do whatever you need. Go out there and play. Miami's lost back-to-back games on the West Coast. Weather wasn't terrible. They lose on Saturday night. It's not going to be because of the weather. It's just going to be there and playing good football.
The Los Angeles weather people are one of the most infuriating factions of the population. Somebody on our production staff who is friendly with LA tried to say to me yesterday, 55 degrees in Los Angeles is... No, 55 is the same number whether you're in Minnesota, North Carolina, Florida, or California. 55 is 55. And frankly, it's not -5, which it very well could be in Buffalo. I am in on this. I am in on the Dolphins being built. But that's only because it's not like the Bills are being built for playing in Miami in September, because they looked cooked in that game. Remember? It looked like they put them on the sideline where they just got baked in the sun from at 3:50 for 60 minutes, and they were cooked. The Bills were not prepared for that. They may have been prepared, but they didn't look like they could handle it well down the stretch. And that might be the same thing for the Dolphins in Buffalo. I just think weather that's not like your own, that you do not practice in. There's reasons why the Patriots went to Miami on a Tuesday this year when they were going to play them on a Sunday. Maybe to enjoy the weather, but also to prepare yourself for it. It's like altitude.
It is like that. And I'm going to say that I get lost in the I think they're not built right now to do it. I like to do an exercise in conversations like this where I like to pull up the rosters and see where they went to college. Like if they went to cold weather. Yep. Like Raheem Mostert, okay? Purdue guy. Like West Lafayette, Indiana. Jeff Wilson Jr., North Texas. Like those, they're not all Florida and Alabama. So like you like to think that maybe that's in their blood. That whole in their blood thing is nonsense. I was born and raised in Chicago. I lived in California for 16 years. You go home to Chicago, step out of O'Hare, and you're like, I want to die. I don't have anything in me right now at all. And Josh Allen's been saying this week what you're saying. He's saying you have to train in it. It's not, you can't get off the plane to get acclimated to it and fully used to it like it's your friend. You have to train in it week after week after week. I think Buffalo does have an advantage. And listen, if Marino couldn't get it done, we think Tua Tagovailoa from Hawaii is going to go to Western New York. Like, yeah, it's no big deal. Until I see it, I don't believe you have to show it to us.
You played for the Dolphins. Like, when you go up to those Buffalo games, I mean, you was 1 year you were there, but like, when you practice in 16, 17, when you get off the plane, like Kyle said,
no doubt about it. But if that was the case, then the home team in cold weather games would always win, and that doesn't happen.
Did you get them late December? Like, did you go, because it's different than October or November.
Yeah, and it sucks. Like, what you're saying is 100% true. When you're in Miami, you're going to these teams that are freezing. It sucks. Same with what you're saying. We're in New England, and you're going down to Miami in late December. It sucks. But we had won games in Miami and in late December as well. So you still have to go play the game, whichever team executes well. Because to your point, there's guys on Buffalo's roster that are from Miami and these different places. Yes, you have to practice in it, so mentally you're a little bit tougher. But on game day, whoever performs the best is going to win the game.
I remember doing a 49ers-Packers game in Lambeau, playoff game, and Kaepernick before the game is not wearing any sleeves. A guy from Stockton, California, comes out there, and he just tore up the Packers. And he was wearing no sleeves in 0-degree weather, and I'm like, some guys just had a heater
Mike Vick
and a jacket.
Lambeau too.
Mike Vick did the same.
So Newport News.
Yes.
Get to the heater when you're on the sideline.
It's possible. All right, next one here. The Lions, they won again on Sunday, and I wanted to bring up the play because on 3rd and 7, they put a 300-pound tackle, Penei Sewell, in motion, and he put the game on ice with a completion. So here's the statement. The Lions, not the Dallas Cowboys, are the non-division leader in the NFC that you would least like to see in the opening round of the playoffs right now. Jason, are we in or are we out?
In Detroit, to have public transportation, they call them the fast bus. It has Wi-Fi on it. I'm jumping on the fast bus, and I am rolling with Detroit. I am scared to play them right now. They are rolling. They're playing really well. Jared Goff and those receivers, he's spreading the ball around. We saw it this past Sunday. We all talked about the Vikings being the underdogs, blah, blah, blah. The Lions went out there. They executed long touchdown passes to DJ Chark, to Jameson Williams, finding ways to win football games. And the young nucleus on defense, Aiden Hutchinson, Kirby Joseph, James Houston, these guys are winning games. And Dan Campbell, all of these guys, we killed their defense early on in the season, and now they seem to be coming together and making the plays to win games. And shout out Dan Campbell. You did it yesterday, Kyle. Didn't mimic his voice, none of those things.
It's over with that.
They're getting it done.
Yeah.
So I'm finding a way. Right now, I'm scared of the Detroit Lions, and they're winning games.
Very close in or out. Very close for me. I'm going to go out. I'm going to go with the Cowboys in this one. And it's one difference maker for me. It's Micah Parsons. The Lions do not have a Micah Parsons on defense. They got a lot of great young guys. Aiden Hutchinson is playing fantastic. But Micah Parsons, to me, he jumps out of that defensive backfield and just gets after, no matter his assignment, guy after guy after guy. And then the running back's not bad as well. So I'm going to go Cowboys on this one. If I had to play somebody this weekend, I'd rather it be the Lions than the Cowboys.
Well, that's the thing. Is it this weekend or is it the weekend of the playoffs? I look at this if it's this weekend like an NCAA tournament, and the Cowboys are like this big blue chip 2 seed that like has the banners hanging and all that. They're getting a little old, but they have them. And then these Lions are like VCU or like George Mason or just like Florida Gulf Coast. You know, remember that team, Dunk City? That like they just have all the momentum and the aura and the it, and they're like clapping to get the ball, and like can't get shots up fast enough. So I think if it was this weekend, I'm gonna say I would rather face the Cowboys than the Lions. Just I think that the Dan Campbell aura and the belief and the, oh my God, we're ahead of our schedule and people are talking about us. We're the Lions. We actually have a belief. The Cowboys are like, people aren't talking about us. I think there's a different vibe there. The Micah Parsons thing, obviously, is hugely compelling, and they have some dogs on that team. But also, Peter, I think it just comes down to, like, Goff or Dak. And Jared Goff has this, like, weird damaged goods reputation that he shed. And there is not more than maybe 2 NFC quarterbacks who have played better than Jared Goff over the last 6 weeks. He's been really good.
Before we get to it, I think it's Jalen Hurts and it's Jared Goff when you're talking about the best quarterbacks in the NFC this season. Jalen Hurts and then Jared Goff. Dak Prescott, I don't think has played as well as Jared Goff if you're going one-on-one.
So I'd rather play the Cowboys then. That's an interesting question. They could play each other in the playoffs.
I think both those teams are going to be, if they both make it, both have to play road games because it's pretty hard for the Cowboys to jump the Eagles. And then Of course, the Lions probably aren't jumping the Vikings. So they're both going to be road teams if they make it. Just which team would you rather face? It's a good one.
I'm a little bummed that the Deuce Stealing Bowl happened too early in the season.
Eagles, Lions, yeah.
We got the Baker Mayfield redemption game, guys. This still happened.
Yep.
We're 5 days out. This did happen on the planet Earth. Who else could use that fresh start, a la Baker, headbutting people without a helmet in Week 15? Cut that out now, Baker, starting quarterback.